All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome into our tutorial walkthrough, Trust Exchange for Government, Putnam County Submission Portal. We are going to first really briefly go through how to register. In case you haven't done your registration yet, we are recording this to save for future reference for anybody who needs help as we go forward. Then we're going to go through the application submission process and kind of a general overview of your dashboard and your company profile and how you use those to get information. As some frequently asked questions, I know a lot of people have been having trouble with Adobe fill-in sign, so we're going to take a second and look at that at the end. So feel free to stick with me as long as we've still got relevant information for you. So let's get going. The first thing that we're going to do is when you initially register, the Putnam County Clerk, lovely Ms. Lynn, sent out an email with a link to the registration site. But if you didn't get an email and you're wondering how to register in the first place so that you can be part of the site, you can find it on the Putnam County, Georgia homepage. You start with here, putnamcountyga.us. Under Departments, you can go to Administration. And you're looking for information for businesses. You'll notice at the top of this is actually the page that you can go to pay by credit card or electronic check. And it's got some info about your fees. And the one that I'm going to pretend to be today is a short-term vacation rental. Another link to access the credit card payment. And here we are down at our new portal site. This is how you register your account. You select what type of license you're applying for. Airbnb, private residences, vacation rentals are short-term rentals. Lodging permit is just for hotels, inns, motels. You fill it all out to the best of your ability and hit submit. We receive this information and that gives us the go ahead and create your account. We want to make sure that everybody goes through the registration form instead of just creating their own independent Trust Exchange account, because there's all these little bits and bobs in the back end that we connect to your Putnam County approvers so that everybody gets notifications, and we need to create the account ourselves in order to be able to set you up properly. But once you do that, you'll get an automatic email that just says that we will contact you with your login credentials in the next 2 business days. There's a link to our help desk if you have any questions in the meantime. Once you get your login credentials, that'll be in an email called "Thank you for using Trust Exchange for Government. Your user profile has been set up and is ready to go." You'll be able to log into the site. If you don't get that email, then you want to check your spam folder and make sure that you're trusting all communications from trustexchange.com. Now, when we go to log in, let's start from scratch here. This is our login page, and we want to always log in at government.trustexchange.com. This is the portal that has all of your Putnam County stuff all set up for you. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here. All right, and here is my main dashboard. When you log in as a Putnam County user, what's going to pop up immediately is this guide. Welcome to Trust Exchange for Government, your hub to collaborate, connect, and exchange mission-critical information. Let's get started. The very first thing that you are going to want to do is you're going to want to get an application form. Select here. You have your option for an alcohol license, a short-term rental for houses, and lodging permit for hotels and motels. I'm going to go ahead and click short-term rental certificate. And then there's one application for new, which has more steps and more pages involved. And there's one packet that's for renewal, which is really short. You can download here. If for some reason this does not pop up for you, I would definitely recommend using Google Chrome for best results. But if it doesn't pop up, you do have another way to get to your files. We've put them for you here on the left pane under Files. You'll see New and Renewal here. So you have access to that information 2 ways if the ideal way doesn't work for you properly. So then you would end up having your application downloaded. I'm going to keep these on hand so we can take a look at Adobe fill-in sign later on. But now we're here at our dashboard. And I don't have anything really going on my dashboard because this is a brand new profile and I haven't done an application for it yet. So I'm going to go down to companies of interest. I'm not going to worry that this is a red circle because it just means that it hasn't kicked off yet at this point. We're going to go down to Myrtle's Cottage. There we go. I've made this little test company, Myrtle's Cottage. And I want to direct your attention just briefly to the monitoring checklists over on the right-hand side. Now, this looks a little funny right now because I don't have any applications in. You can see in my event timeline, it's empty. So some of these are red and some of these are green. And I just want to clarify that a little bit before we go forward, is that these kind of stop-go lights are not necessarily for the user who's submitting an application. It's green when it says short-term rental certificate application, but we don't have one. The reason is that all of these stop-go lights are not necessarily for the user. Some of them are for Putnam County approvers. Like this first one, once we submit our application, it's going to turn red because that is an alert for the county clerk that tells them that there's something new that they need to review. Well, let's give them something to review. We're going to create our application event. We're going to come up here to add event, and I am going to do an application for a short-term vacation rental certificate. That's the one that I want. And let's go through it. Date that we don't need to worry about. We do always want to keep our events private. That doesn't mean that nobody is going to see it. It just means that it's not available to the general public. We're going to leave our viewing permissions as is. What we are going to change is permission to edit. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of me in here, or you can leave yourself, it's fine. I'm going to say Myrtle's Cottage. And hey, look at that. I've got a little group set up for me already. It's called Putnam County Clerk, Myrtle's Cottage. And the people who are in that group are all of the relevant Putnam County approvers, plus myself as the owner of Myrtle's Cottage. Or if I had an agent that I wanted to have in my group, they could be part of my Putnam County Clerk, Myrtle's Cottage group as well. I'm going to pretend that I am selecting a new application, and then I need to attach a document. And since it's a new one, I actually have quite a few that I need to attach. So I'm clicking on Add File, and I'm going to bop right on in here to my Myrtle's Cottage application, which is actually just a blank Word document, but you can download all sorts of different kinds of files, JPEGs, PDFs, anything that you need as long as they're not too big. It's really pretty flexible. Now, we're adding our document, and it makes this note. Access to files is private by default, but we can change the settings by using shared with. And it's even got this little exclamation part to remind you that we're going to share the document itself with the same group. And I can start by typing Putnam County Clerk, or I can just type Myrtle's Cottage. It'll pop up either way. And now we see that we've got a file. It's private, but it's shared with the right people. Save and continue. And then you can see that that's attached. And I'll just go through really quickly. And oh, there's my deed for a new one. We need to have a deed in there. So let's share it with our group. And we're just going through, and we've got all of our documents together, and they're all complete. There's my driver's license. Let's add that. And every time, I'm going to go in here and make sure that my Myrtle's Cottage group can see it. So once you've got everything in that you need to get in, go back to your form. And we're going to save and continue. Now watch what happens. We're going to go ahead and look down here and like, oh, there we have an event. This is the thing we made. Now we can go back in and edit because we have editing permissions if we need to. Or if we just want to see a little snapshot, there's that. Now let me refresh the page real quick and show you something that's changed. Look at how these have turned red. These first two have sent an alert to the county clerk that there's something new for her to look at. The next thing that you will be looking for after you've submitted your application is something called application document review. We don't have one of those for this, but I can go ahead and pull up an example. So you see that this is our original application that we went ahead and submitted. And then a few days later, we see, oh, look, a short-term rental application document review is there. Oh, it shows me that I have paid. And oh, look, there's also a tax payment review, and there's no objections. Excellent. So that means that the tax collection officer has gone through that as well. Now, let me show you what a short-term rental application document review looks like when it's complete, because there's a lot of fields. And really, if you want to know if your application has been submitted completely and the county clerk has marked it as complete, you go into there, and really the only thing that you're looking for is review status complete. You'll see some other things that are like, is this complete? No. Is this complete? No. That's just because there's multiple kinds of applications that use this form. Don't concern yourself with that. If you want to know if yours is done, you click on more details on your short-term rental application document review, and you look for this review status complete. What happens with these events is that they're going to trigger different departments that it's time for them to do their inspections. And once all of the inspections or reviews are finished, the county clerk will get a notification that it's time for her to do a final review. Look through everything one more time, make sure everything is as it should be, and then you'll also get an alert when your certificate is issued. You're going to get alerts in your email box as well if you have messages from the government. For example, maybe you forgot to check a box on your E-Verify page, so you'll get a message from the county clerk asking you to resubmit a page correctly. Maybe you forgot to pay your boat taxes or something, and you'll get an alert from the tax department. Whatever it may be, it can all come through here, and you'll get an email alert. The email alert itself is not going to give you very much information, but you can go into your profile and see everything, all the activity right in here. Another thing that you might want to do is send a message. Sending a message is also an event. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I want to add an event that is a message to a government department. Now there's viewing permissions and editing permissions. I don't really need anybody else to be able to edit mine, but I'm going to go ahead and share it with my group to make sure that the correct people can see it. Now, if it's a message just to one person, you can get their individual email address and type it in, but the easiest thing to do is just share it with your group because it's already in the system and it's really easy to grab. So we'll have our Putnam County Clerk group able to view this event. I'm going to put my name in, and then you really need to select your department because this is how the notifications happen. If you need to ask a question of the sheriff, then you can select that department, and only the sheriff is going to get the notification that there's a message that they need to see. If you need to attach a document, you can do that there. Just remember to always share with your Putnam group. I'm not going to save this because I don't want to kick off any messages. Go ahead and get rid of that. And the same goes the other way. They can send you messages, and you'll get an alert in your email. Go ahead and log in, come into your profile, and see what the message is. And that's really the basics for the Trust Exchange portal itself. I wanted to save a little bit of time to go over frequent questions and problems. The main thing that seems to be giving people some grief is in the application, how to sign. Because we're used to these little check boxes and these little fill-in, and we can do all of that. But then when you get down, all right, so this is my new application, and I've been filling everything out as normal, and then I get to here, and well, there's nothing to do, is there? But it does still need to be signed. You just have to do something a little bit differently. Now, I have the Adobe Acrobat Chrome extension installed, which is really easy to get. You can just go to the Chrome apps and add it to your browser if you want. You can also use the desktop app. I have both. And so actually, when I try to do something in this extension, it's going to open it for me. But what I'm looking for, if you go down to the bottom right, there's something called fill and sign. Let's click fill and sign. And yes, you can see it went ahead and opened it for me in my regular application. And let's go down. Okay. So now there's a spot. There's two different ways that you can do it. You can set up a digital ID configuration, which just involves putting in some steps to do a digital identity. For this, you also can do something up here in the middle called Sign Yourself. And I don't want that. I want my actual signature, which is not my actual signature. But you can actually, when you get in here, you can actually go ahead and drag and drop your signature in there. So there's two different ways to do it. You can sign yourself, sign the document by typing or drawing a signature, or you can, back in here, you can create a digital signature. But really, for these purposes, fill and sign is just fine. You can definitely create a signature for yourself that way. And if you're doing it on a tablet, you can go ahead and use your finger and make an actual signature. Otherwise, you can always print out, sign, and scan, which if you have something that needs to be notarized, like this example here, you're going to have to print that out anyway because you need to get it notarized and then scan it back in. Another thing to note is that on Adobe Acrobat, you can, over on this right-hand side, rotate your pages, but you do have to sign in order to be able to do that. But if you will do that extra step, if you accidentally scan something in upside down, it would be much appreciated. So nobody has to stand on their head to read it. The other thing that's really common that people are having trouble with is these E-Verify saved documents, the confirmation form, making sure that you click the correct button for your circumstance. If you have more than 10 employees or less than 10 employees, that needs to be checked regardless. And if it's your first time submitting, then you do need to also, you will have the actual original form. The E-Verify affidavit for businesses that have more than 10 employees that needs to be notarized, or the exemption affidavit that you have less than 10 employees. So I think those are the things that are the most common questions that we have going through the process. I'll just pop this up here so that you can see it. If you have questions about what you actually are required to have, I have that information available. I know the first time you do a short-term rental, there's quite a few things that you need to do, but if you're doing a renewal, it's really quite simple. And you can also always send us an email at putnamcountysupport@trustexchange.com. That comes to me. I can answer any questions there. Also, if you need additional help, I can get on one-on-one and do a screen share where you can show your screen, and I can actually kind of backseat drive you through doing one of these applications.
I see one person who's telling us that all is well on my end, which is wonderful news.
Hooray! Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, thank you guys all so much for coming. You know where to find me anytime at PutnamCountySupport@trustexchange.com. Thank you so much for coming by. I hope I got all your questions answered, and if not, please do reach out. Thank you so much.